down there.
Armageddon to Armageddon.
I'm not quite sure what we've done.
I myself came to Beit Shemesh in 1953 as a 3 years old child, and I grew up all my life in Beit Shemesh. I went to school in America, but I have my family in Beit Shemesh. I have 4 children, and I'm very happy. But the point is, the people that will host you coming from the core of Beit Shemesh.
We have college students, we have retirees, we have school teachers, we have all kinds of professions represented. We'll do a good job.
We believe you, sir. Pastor Rand, Pastor Shelton, we say thank you so much, because I think about the very first time when we came, and Meir, right? Yeah. Meir came and we gave the proclamation, and that planted that seed. And look where we are now today. And just think about what the future holds. It's countless, it's breathless. And you know what? It's priceless. It's peace. That's it.
Frohes Weihnachtsfest, kommen Sie gut ins neue Jahr. Auf Wiedersehen. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Munich.
Everyone had one of these backpacks.
And what does Karen Shemesh mean?
Karen Shemesh is the foundation. Mayor Malka is the director of the Karen Shemesh Foundation for Beit Shemesh. It's the funding instrument for gifts coming in and funding projects within the community and with the children and young people and the various projects that they are involved in.
Is this everybody? Is everybody here? I was standing.
Everybody say Shalom Harley.
I'm Harley.
Everyone in Beit Shemesh is excited. I'm not going to call them up. Is excited to see you. They're all waiting. I have to tell them that we're on our way. So just hold on a sec.
Maybe they have spinach filling from, or some kind of filling. Sounds good to me.
We have 3 mayors. 3 mayors. First of all, we have Mayor Abudbul. It's not his name, it's his title. He is Mayor Moshe Abudbul, the mayor of Beit Shemesh. We have the deputy mayor and the acting mayor, AYOR, Roshi Sgan, Mamalemokom Roshi, Mayor Balaish, whose name is Mayor.
Charlie, אני לא פה. And all the meaning about it. No? Seriously? You don't know that.
As the two of them went on together, Isaac spoke up and said to his father Abraham, "Father?" You have to imagine Abraham walking with a knife. And what does he mean by the fire? Probably a piece of flint. He didn't have a box of matches. Probably a piece of flint or maybe even a torch or burning embers. Walking from where we are, down this hill, and up to the other side to where you see that gold dome in the distance. Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and lay him on the altar on top of the wood. Abraham looked up, and there in the thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. 1,000 years after Abraham and Isaac, David captures Jerusalem and makes it into his capital city. And then David's son Solomon builds where that gold dome stands today, which is the rock on which Abraham came to sacrifice Isaac. Solomon builds the first temple. And that building there, which is a beautiful building by the way, has been standing on that exact same spot for the last 1,200 years, built in the year 690 to 700. And that for Muslims is the third most holiest shrine in Islam, after Mecca and after Medina. In Hebrew, Gat Shmanim. Gethsemane means an olive oil press. So we're at the foot of Mount of Olives. From here on up is Mount of Olives. It would be logical that at the base of the mountain, they would bring all the olives, and somewhere around here, buried, who knows how deep, was probably a place where the olives would be pressed and made into olive oil. Jesus has the Last Supper somewhere up there in the city. And he comes out over here with his disciples. Now he told them what's going to happen that night, the next morning.
In Europe.
Now, in Jewish tradition, men and women are separate. So as soon as you walk in the door, you turn to the right, that's for men. Men don't have to have a head covering, you don't have a hat, but you do a little take. Women go on the other side, and inside we'll be looking at what is traditionally the tomb of King David.
Bye, Henry.
This is what they look like. This is built about 1,000 years ago in medieval times. And this church was built right on top of King David's tomb. Now David is one of the few people in the Bible who is considered important to Jews, to Christians, and to Muslims. In Islam, it's called Rabbi, the prophets of Islam. For Jews, he's King David. Christians see David as being the great grandfather of Jesus.
Oh, it's automatic is good.
This wooden structure is a bridge which leads up to Temple Mount. The original height of this wall 2,000 years ago would have been up to that minaret over there. That's how high this thing was built. All the stones you see were cut by hand in quarries, schlepped here, dragged here by hand, lifted with pulleys. The average stone weighs around 2 tons. And imagine, no heavy equipment, no earth-moving equipment, nothing electric, nothing mechanical, all done by hand, lifted and put here. When you go up to the stones, touch the stones, the middle part is slightly rough and the margin around it is smoother. That is King Herod's trademark. You'll also see that each course of stone is laid in a little bit, about half an inch from the one beneath it. And the reason for that is this wall was so tall, and you would have been standing there 40 foot down, you would have looked up, it would have looked like the wall was falling back, it's parallax. Herod didn't want that. He wanted people to think it was perfectly vertical. So therefore, by putting each layer of stone half an inch in from the one beneath it, this wall looks perfectly straight. No cement whatsoever, everything dry laid. Stones going this way and stones going that way.
אבל כולם היו...
Go and have a look. It's a very nice sort of sculpture, relief of Jesus stumbling on the cross. The Via Dolorosa is a way for people to focus their thoughts, focus their belief as they walk through the city and think about the events which happened in the city 2,000 years ago. You have a stone which people think may be the pomegranate of Jesus. He couldn't carry his cross anymore, so he stopped over here. And people have venerated this over here. You'll see people touching this, you'll see people listening. Now, street level was about 12 foot deep today. So we don't know if this is or this isn't. Remember, tradition is very, very important. And Simon of Kyrenia, the Jewish pilgrim, was here for holiday. Was grabbed by the Romans and said, "Here, you take the cross for him." And he carried the cross for Jesus. That's mentioned in the New Testament, it's mentioned in the Bible. This is a small chapel, Catholic chapel. This is station number 7. Jesus stumbles for the second time. And I said before, 14 stations of the Via Dolorosa. Stations 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 are in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is where we're going to next, just about 100 yards from here.
Hey, enjoy it?
Jawad.
Still the Muslim quarter.
Oh, I'm ordering a custom. There's not. Hello.
بعد السنين دي مش كنت عايش من غير عايش هو انت اشتقت لعياني خليك مكاني اللي رجعت تاني ايه اللي
Most Christians, is the most important building in Christianity. It is called the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Sepulchre being a tomb. The first church to stand on this site was built 1800 years ago. The one we see here today was built from the year 1100, 1100 to 1150 by the Crusaders who arrived here from Europe. Ownership of the church is divided amongst the 6 groups, and they're all considered to be what are called first amongst equals. Right. 2,000 years ago, this was a large hill, and people were buried in caves that were dug into the side of the hill. When the church was built, they removed all the stone from around the cave where Jesus was, thus making this big flat platform where we're standing. And then this was covered over, right, 200 years ago by the Russian Tsar. People are going in and they're seeing a small empty room which belongs to the Greek Orthodox Church. Inside is written Kyrie, which means the Lord has risen, Kyrie eleison. The Lord has ascended and the tomb is empty.
Right here is where he was nailed to the cross. Apparently he rose somewhere around here.
This is on the cross with the title on the top. Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. In Greek, Latin, and then Hebrew. That's why he was, that's a sentence, that's why he was sentenced. We'll continue around and we'll exit.
מי שרוצה להיות מוסר ריבון, שוב ושוב. די, די.
שלום.
בואי, לכי לשם.
שלום.
Our kids are inside. They're eager to see you, so please join us. Hope you will have a great time.
You come to Israel in a very special time. We celebrate Hanukkah and light candles in a menorah for 8 days. הגעתם לישראל בזמן מאוד מיוחד. אנו חוגגים את חג החנוכה ומדליקים נרות במשך 8 ימים.
Dear friends, we prepared a little Hanukkah show so we can share our joy with you.
Hope you will enjoy it.
And show me. Whoever wrote the letters, please raise your hand. מי שכתב לי, תרימו את הידיים. Don't look at the standards. Meet him in person, find something.
I brought some art to share for you to keep here.
הביאי כמה תמונות, כמובן אנחנו נתלה אותם ונעשה את התצוגה מי בבית ספר. Wow, it's nice.
We're just so very excited to make new friends in Beit Shemesh.
Might be a little suspicious, or they might have, a little bit concerned. What's he have in the car? And now we are in what's called the West Bank.
We are. Because what does it mean to be Jewish? What does it really mean? A lot of people would say, well, we have a law, we have a lifestyle, we have holidays, it's Hanukkah, we have a culture, but the truth is, that's not what it means to be Jewish. What it means to be Jewish is that we have a covenant with God. A covenant, an eternal covenant. And it can never be broken. And that's a pretty amazing thing because we're the only ancient people alive today. All the people of the Bible, the Canaanites, the Jebusites, the Babylonians, the Amorites, the Moabites, they're all gone. Israel still lives because we have an eternal covenant with God. And I will give to you and your offspring after you the land of your sojourns, the whole land of Canaan as an everlasting possession. As long as we see the Temple Mount and are able to go to the Western Wall, we're fulfilling biblical destiny. We're proving this book right. Because the mitzvah, the commandment of Hanukkah, is to light the candles in a place where people that walk by can see them. In Hebrew it's called Pirsumei Nisa. It's to publicize the miracle that God made for us. That a group of priests, a tiny group of priests, went up against the strongest army in the world, who had just recently, under Alexander the Great, conquered everything. And this little group of Jewish priests somehow defeated them, established autonomy in the temple and political autonomy in the land of Israel. Unbelievable. And so we light these candles that everyone should see. I mean, my vision next year is I'm putting a big, massive one on my roof. So people in Tel Aviv can look up and see it.
Good idea.
That's my plan for next year. The other thing that I want you to know about lighting the Hanukkah candles, it's 30 minutes, and these candles will be out. That's really what Hanukkah represents, is seizing that moment. You have this little brief flick of a match, and the candles will go down, and if you see them then, you've seized it. Seize the moment in your lives, and you really take in this trip from Israel, absorb all the light, and then go back to Florida and like these big light beams, bringing the light there.
Do you put some orange with it then?
Yeah. It's very good taste.
How much is
40 shekel all of that. That's three. It's 10.
You got flies.
Where?
Can I take a picture? You probably have no oil. You got the money. You want to buy the camel?
I already
See him on Facebook.
Oh, behind.
Yeah.
You want to buy the camel?
Yes.
Does it shrink down and fit in the suitcase?
You need to brush your teeth. They stink like anything.
Yeah.
This comes with the territory, I guess.
Why did we schlep up here? We didn't come up here for the incredible views of the Dead Sea around us. On a clear day, it's absolutely wonderful. And we didn't come up for the fascinating archaeology that's up here. We came up because of the story. King Herod built the Western Wall and the Temple Mount. We saw that yesterday. He came to Masada, and he took this hill in the middle of nowhere and built not one, not two, but 4 palaces up here. Why did he build Masada? He built Masada as a place of refuge and a place to hide should anyone try and come to kill him. And the Jews decided to revolt. But the Jews didn't surrender. And finally the Romans broke through. They broke down the walls of the city and destroyed the temple. The Romans thought if they destroyed the temple, the Jews would stop fighting, would give up. The Jews hoped that the Romans would leave them alone and let them sort of reestablish Jewish life. One of the Roman legions came down here, 10,000 soldiers, and besieged Masada. The Jews who were up here had plenty of food from Herod's warehouses. They had sheep and goats, and they grew things here. They had water, more than enough water stored here in cisterns, plus every winter more water would come in, and the Jews would make barbecue. And the smell of the meat would drift down to the Roman soldiers sitting in the middle of the desert eating snakes and lizards. And they would stand on the wall and take showers and pour water over them and wash themselves. The Romans are sitting there in the middle of the desert with just the salty Dead Sea in front of them. And their hatred burnt. And what the Romans decided to do in order to end this sort of ignominy and this insult to the Roman army was take one thing they had a lot of, and that was Jewish prisoners of war. And the Romans began to organize the Jewish prisoners to dump dirt over there on the eastern side of western side of Masada. And on top of that ramp, they built a wooden scaffolding covered with metal, with a battering ram. The Romans knocked the outer wall down quite quickly, but the night fell. So the Romans decided to wait for the next day. That evening, all the Jews who were up here got together and had to decide what to do. We could die fighting at the Romans. We could surrender but then die. The men will be executed right away or taken to work in the galley ships on the Mediterranean and die that way. The children will be taken into slavery and die that way, and the women taken as prostitutes for Roman soldiers and die that way. Or we can die by our own hand and rob the Romans of their victory. What basically happened, men got together and killed their families. And last of all, fell on their swords and killed themselves. Then 10 men who drew lots killed all the other men who were alive. And finally they drew lots so that one man should kill the 10 who were still alive, and last of all himself. Masada, here 2,000 years ago in Yad Vashem, the Holocaust. Because the only time that Jews are victims is when we do not have a state and a government of our own. So in spite of these two events being 2,000 years apart, I think the important lesson of Masada and of the Holocaust is the Jewish people must always have a Jewish state. Here is the ramp. It started down there. They dumped the earth over here. Roughly from this, remember, it's eroded down after 2,000 years. Say from here on up, they would have had scaffolding, ladder, on it the battering ram. They knocked down this one, the outer wall. Then night fell, and the inner wall, which is exactly right where Bob is now, they waited till morning till they knocked the inner wall down. Like I said, outer wall, inner wall. Here's the outer wall, there's the inner wall. Come on, to the right. Folks, to the cash, the kuba, to the cash.
Christmas Eve service of light, Beit Jimal Monastery, Beit Shemesh, Israel. For the Christians in the group, Christmas Eve is very special. And we're so honored to be in this place. But to have this experience right now, I am in awe. God tells us in His Word, starting in Genesis, we are blessed to be a blessing. If you think the blessing is for you and you keep it, you are wrong. The blessing is to go from you to someone else. And His light is to come to us, to others. So we've asked 8 readers. There are 5 readers from our Jewish community. There are 3 readers from our Christian community. And then a blessing at the end.
They then journeyed from Bethel, and there was still some ground to cover before reaching Ephrath. When Rachel went into labor, and her labor was difficult, and as her labor was difficult for her, the midwife said to her, "Don't be afraid. This one too will be a son for you."
Ruth prostrated herself with her face to the ground and said to Boaz, "Why are you so kind as to single me out when I am a foreigner?" Boaz replied, "I have been told of all that you did for your mother-in-law after the death of your husband, how you left your father and mother and the land of your birth and came to a people you had not known before."
And God said to Samuel, "How long will you grieve over Saul, since I have rejected him as king over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and set out. I am sending you to Jesse, the Bethlehemite. I have decided on one of his sons to be king."
And David would go back and forth from attending on Saul to shepherd his father's flock at Bethlehem. Saul said to David, "You cannot go to that Philistine and fight him. You're only a boy."
David was then in the stronghold, and a Philistine garrison was then at Bethlehem.
But you, O Bethlehem Ephrathah, are only a small village in Judah. Yet a ruler of Israel will come from you, one whose origins are from the distant past.
And she brought forth her firstborn son, wrapped him in swaddling cloths, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room in the inn. Now in that same region there were shepherds abiding in the fields, keeping watch over their flocks by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. But the angel said, "Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings, which shall be unto all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord."
The wise men, led by the star, they visited and worshipped the infant King of the Jews in Bethlehem. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we saw his star in the east, and have come to worship him."
I've never been to anything like this. I don't know about you. I've never done anything like this. It almost sounds a little bit crazy. They have the rabbi play the organ while the Christian pastor is I've never done it.
I'm not quite sure what we've done. Don't tell anybody back home, okay?
I believe there's something here for all of us.
I believe the message is clear. And I believe we have a lot more light going on right now.
I am very happy that you are here. And me, if next year you have another group, please bring it here. Every time you are here, this can be your church. To pray and to glorify God. Amen. Amen.
Welcome to Megiddo. Israel is approximately the same size as the state of New Jersey, but as you've all noticed, you don't have to hold your nose while driving through Israel. Anyway, and here at Megiddo, as we have said, there is roughly 25 different layers of civilization. Why specifically here at Megiddo? If you look on this map over here of the ancient world, here is Megiddo, right smack in the center. Megiddo sits on what is known as the Via Maris. Whether you're King Solomon, King Ahab, or even General Allenby in World War I. In order to conquer this part of the world, you have to get to Megiddo. First things first, what's the first thing you come to when you go to a city? Okay. The gates of the city. So the first thing you would do, if you look over here, there's the gate of the city, okay? What do you need, as we've said in Israel, in any city?
Water.
Water, exactly. And so the water system, although the light's not lighting up, the water system was built up by King Solomon. And here Solomon would have a palace, his stables, his horses, and whatnot. I went over the Jezreel Valley, looking east over the mountains. We see the mountains of Gilad.
Macho.
You must see it, I swear.
We're now looking at the Jezreel Valley, which is the most fertile place, one of the most fertile places in the land of Israel. Hold on to your hats and go over the fence one more time. For those who know Hebrew, how do you say mountain in Hebrew? Har. Okay. And where are we at right now?
Megiddo.
Put it together. Har Megiddo. What happens over time? The name becomes discombobulated, it becomes corrupted. Har Megiddo, Ar Megiddo, to Armageddon. Those are the Gilad mountains, Harei Gilad. What happened on the Harei Gilad? There was a battle. King Saul, after he's no longer king, goes and has his final battle against the Philistines on the Gilboa mountains. right in front of us here, it's Har Tabor, Mount Tabor, okay? What happens on Mount Tabor?
Deborah.
Exactly, Deborah.
And Deborah said unto Barak, Up, for this is the day in which the Lord hath delivered Sisera into thine hand. It is not the Lord gone out before thee? So Barak went down from the mountain Tabor, and 10,000 men after him. And all the host of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not a man left.
But in 1920, nobody really lived here. It was all swamps and malaria. Nobody could live here. This is how it all started. When you dry the swamps and turn the swamps to a paradise, to a living place.
So first we'll see a little bit where we are. So if you look behind me, you can see down there, you see a little water? Well, this is the Jordan River, okay? The Jordan River comes out of the Sea of Galilee and meanders the whole way down south to the Dead Sea. And most of its way, the Jordan River here is the border between Israel and the Hashemite kingdom of Jordan. Most of the landscape you see here is Jordan. The little yellow house you see there. On the other side is a Jordanian position. This is their way to watch the border here. And today we have peace with the Jordanians, but still they keep the peace from their side and we keep the peace from our side. Okay? By the way, you know what means Gesher? What Gesher means? Bridge. Bridge. Oh, okay. So you can see down there. This is really special one. The foundation is from the Roman period. Means it was built 2,000 years ago. Okay?
So when the children of the first school, girls' school from Beit Shemesh, in March 97 came on a tour to the Galilee, one of the sites was the Island of Peace. It's a beautiful hill. See the flag, the Jordanian flag? And they climbed up there, and while the teacher explaining about the site, the Jordanian soldiers start shooting and killed 7, get wounded, many others. It was not considered a dangerous place to go there.
Part of our jobs to heal our world, from the example of these kinds of examples, our way to heal our world is to do just what we're doing on this trip. For understanding, acceptance of other people's beliefs, and letting it all be okay. For those who are comfortable and know it, please join me in the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadav v'yitzadash ve'rava ve'alma divra v'jei yamimate v'chayechom v'yomecho v'chayei kol Beit Yisrael ba'agara v'zman karim. Amen. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens bring peace to us here on earth. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Saul, Avram, call and you have a good day. And
אומרים דש? איך אומרים דרישת שלום? רגע. אוקיי.
Okay? And this was a very important place where Jesus went around because why? It's on the shores of the Sea of Galilee where you have a lot of fishermen. Okay? And if this was a very rich town, you had rich people, carpenters, artists, people who were cultured people who could help you spread your message. So here we are in the synagogue. What's a synagogue in Hebrew? Beit Knesset, right? So what does this mean? It means house of gathering.
This part here is a much more modern synagogue. The synagogue where Jesus would have been, when you go outside, you'll see that this is on the foundation of a previous synagogue. It's very black stone. You'll see a very definite definition. And the black stone would be more the foundation of the synagogue in the Bible. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on the mountain and he sat down. His disciples came to him. He opened his mouth and began to teach them, saying, and these are the verses of the Sermon on the Mount, which is right over in this area. Jesus withdrew into Galilee. After leaving Nazareth, he came and settled in Capernaum. We're here, which is by the sea in the region of Zebulun and Naphtali. This was to fulfill what was spoken through Isaiah the prophet. Jesus was going throughout all of Galilee, teaching in the synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing every kind of disease and every kind of sickness among the people. The news about him spread through all of Syria, and they brought to him all who were ill, those suffering with various diseases and pains, and he healed them. Large crowds followed him from Galilee and the Decapolis and Jerusalem and Judea.
Around the world, we meet Jerusalem. I go to what used to be the Tabernacle Church. Remember the Tabernacle? Jamie Buckingham and that bunch? We're called the Pod now.
Okay, we're in Bridges for Peace, and the person who's going to tell you about Bridges for Peace is Peter.
No worries. I won't bite if you fall asleep. It happens, especially on tourists. We are a Jerusalem-based, Bible-believing Christian organization supporting Israel and building relationships between Christians and Jews worldwide through education and practical deeds, expressing God's love and mercy. It's a mouthful. But this is really what we are about. And in so much of history, the Christian relationship with Jews has either been convert, or I want to love you but there's strings attached, or complete hatred and annihilation and wanting to expel them and different things like that. So there's been a lot of anger, a lot of hurt in the relationships. And so when people give money to Bridges for Peace, they can specify something, or they can specify Israel's greatest need, which is our food distribution.
But the most important work we did together is children education. And for the past 8 years, we really see a turning point in many children's life in Beit Shemesh.
There we worked in the gardening. You saw them laying the sprinklers on the picture. And then I've also worked in an apartment in Beit Shemesh where some Moroccans had come here to make Aliyah, and the building, they were working on the building to fix it up. So we did the painting. Those were two highlights of my whole life. Appreciate it. It's wonderful.
His mouth's going to be open though. And it means shit. Once again. Say it again, please. Great.
And we know a third word.
Okay, you're right.
The Lord will protect you from all evil. He will keep your soul. He will guard your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. One of the things I'm thankful for on this trip, that He has watched our going in and our coming out. And I'm so grateful. And I know many of you, maybe all of you, can say amen to that.
Okay, before you go in, first of all, start thinking now if you can name, how many of you all put together can name those 12 sons of Jacob. You know that Jews, over the years, we're the people of the book. We gave the book to everybody else, and we forgot what's in the book. I just asked a group of kids, and I said, can you name a play of Shakespeare? So they look at me, what are you, an idiot? Of course. They say Julius Caesar, Romeo and Juliet. I said, and can you name one of the major prophets of Israel? Sure. Silence. 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 Okay? Most of us can't. Most of us can't. Okay? Because, like I tell the kids, it's not on the SATs. What do they need to know it for? Where the last day of Hanukkah, Hanukkah is the time of dedication, rededication. And you have the guide's guide. She taught Chagall everything he knows on how to do the windows. Welcome, Annette. Okay? Enjoy.
Come on, Ann. I'll be taking you around. You're the... Oh, those are Chagall windows.
I know, but which ones?
Oh, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. That's where the sun was coming in. Okay. Amazing, not a cloud in the sky.
Closer, Lois. Closer.
Closer. How awesome is that?
And we have comedies, but we have 4 clowns that work with the children. Now, because between 40 and 80% of the children... we got one here. This is the best. Everybody who works in this building, the pediatric building, has between 40 and 70, 80% of the children are from the Arab community. You have to know both languages to work here. We have classrooms in the main hospital, Arabic, Hebrew, and English lessons. So even the clowns have to know both languages. Now from here on up is all pediatrics. It is healthier and better for parents and children to be together in a hospital. There's a family member next to every bed. There's a futon. We give the sheets, blankets, pillows to whichever family member is spending the night, plus 3 meals a day, plus whatever they need. I always say we take better care of the parent than the child.
I feel so proud to be part of this organization.
One of the questions we're facing today is how to remember 4 generations after. So in 1953, the government decided to commemorate the victim of the Holocaust, not only to see what happened, but to study, to do some research, and to keep digging, because this is something that a normal person cannot understand. And the question is not why, it's how. Germany, they find the easiest way is the final solution, get rid of all the Jews. And not only Jews. We have to guarantee that never things like that can happen. Not only to us, to any human being.
Everybody have a tree?
And these saplings which we plant before you today, make deep their roots and wide their crown, that they may blossom forth in grace amongst all the trees in Israel, for good and for beauty, and bless this land, that it may flow again with milk and honey. Amen. חלב ודבש, ארץ זבת חלב, חלב ודבש.
On your left, you can see the cotton field. See the cotton here? We export 90% of our cotton overseas. Because cotton here is a very high quality.
When cotton balls get rotten, you can't pick very much cotton. Oh, cotton feels back home.
Now, Abid is welcoming you. He said that this visit today was not planned, really planned, but he's always ready for surprises come from me. And, and he's very happy to welcome you all. So what we do is we take the children and cover all the expenses in school. It's up to 4,000 shekel a year per child. We provide hot meals every day. All their education fees covered by our insurance and summer camp. And I want you to know that this gentleman, 7 years ago, when he came with his group, after the program was over, I gave him my laptop and he came to the school and he took a profile of 30 children. You were with him, right? Okay, 30 children. The first 30 children of this program started here with Ron. So Ron is the founder of the project. Ron has You know, the children were on vacation for 9 days, 10 days. Yeah, that's right. So they didn't have time to practice. If this video was not planned, they were on vacation.
Cultures, Iraq, Iran, Persia, and the children connect to them. Some of them are Ethiopian, so the children from different backgrounds can relate to them because they come from those backgrounds.
What about the rich? I don't know how to
I know. It's very important for them to know that there are people outside of the community, outside of the schools, that care about them, that are here to help them and to support them and to help them grow up into better individuals, to help us make Beit Shemesh, a better place.
This is the place. Bringing all the quilts.
Welcome.
Welcome. Very good. Very good.
תודה רבה. אני מכירה כמה אנשים שהגיעו לפה בעבר, ואני באמת שמחה שכולם
So since the last visit, when the quilts were given the first time, the elderlies have asked, can we have some? Can we have some? And you just came right on time. So I would like to extend her appreciation for all your time and efforts to make the gorgeous, amazing quilts that you make that are being used and appreciated by each and every one. And those walker baggies are just amazing for all of us, staff and elderly alike. is
בוקו פלורידה, ותמיד אנחנו רואים את האדון הנכבד הזה, ואיפה היא? שרה. צלמו תמונות, צלמו. מה אומרים שרה? תגידי באנגלית, thank you. מרים זכטר פה?
לא באה.
כן. בואי ויקטוריה, לכי. לא, שלא תקום. חנה סימי לא פה דרך זו.
she's one of all the coffins, all kind of coffins.
What about the bags? Polyester.
In the Civic Center in Cocoa, they give us that space. They allow us to keep our supplies there, no charge. Shalom! Shalom!
בבקשה.
Yes, you're welcome. Bavakasha. We were out in the garden.
Now we give you Nadia.
She is responsible for all of this program.
Thank you. הנה, זאתי.
The residents here are with problems of Alzheimer and dementia.
הנה תביא לך שמיכה, תתחמם בטלוויזיה. שפיים לברוך. תזרי שלא יתלכלך לך. עם צבע, סוזן סמיה.
You with all the work you do.
always have to take
יש עוד כמה שעושים מאיר.
And we planted here 2,600 trees, some of them almond, carob trees, pine trees, cypress, mixed little trees, wild trees. And if you take a look from this line of trees, in 91, he made this monument in memory of the soldiers. You see, it's like a menorah. See?
Yes, it is.
It's like a menorah.
Wow.
Okay, so.
I would like to share with all of you this moment. 11 years ago today, these two beautiful people met and subsequently got married, and at their wedding they exchanged rings, but Saul misplaced his ring.
Twice.
Twice. So they got a new ring here in Jerusalem, and it says on it, Ani lidodi vidodi li. I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine.
Being in Israel like this is just absolutely wonderful, and what makes it even better is the people we've been staying with, the people we've been traveling with. It's really terrific.
So as you place the ring upon the finger of your beloved, please repeat these words after me. Hare
At Mikudeshet Li
B'taba'at Zo Kedat Moshe V'Yisrael.
Do I get to kiss the bride now?
It is a unique experience living with us, in our homes, living with our families, and understanding life in Israel. And here we are, the last day. So I would like to ask a few people to come and say a few words. And I'd like to start with Israeli representative in Boogaard County, Ziva. Boy.
I don't know if we had enough time to see Israel, but we had enough time to feel the heart of what is Israel has to give. We have a representative here of this community. They open their home, they open their hearts, and we enjoy every minute of it.
Very
Very much.
The highlight was, I think this is my fourth time here and the third time in Yad Vashem. And I went to the Garden of the Righteous because my in-laws hid 5 Jews in the war. And they survived, and if they wouldn't have survived, I wouldn't have my husband, and I wouldn't have that love for you guys that I had. And so I went there. I needed some time there to honor them. But the other highlight is just you people of Beit Shemesh. You have such a great heart.
And so I thank you all so much, and I most particularly want to thank my fellow travelers for the probably the best birthday I ever had. Yes, and just the most amazing dancing and singing and ice cream, and it was just fantastic, and I will never forget. I will never forget. So.
You take 36 people that really don't know one another per se and put them together in a bus. We go traveling and we get to have experiences with everybody else, meeting our host families, meeting the people of Israel. Well, that's blessing number 1. Second blessing would be the land. We go up the hills and down the hills on the buses and around, and the mountains and up the mountains, and our bus driver making the turns. And we plant a tree in the land of Israel. That, to me, was a blessing in and of itself as well. And the third blessing is the combination of the people and the land together. That spirituality, that indescribable facet that people have that are bound to this land, and why the land is so important to them to keep this land, and the problems that we have within this land ourselves right now, and how we need to solve those problems. That too can be a blessing if we all work together to make that happen.
It's been a full cup and overflowing. It's been so full, and we go back with so many memories and so many opportunities. Cantor Pat, thank you for trusting us and me. Thank you for reaching out your hand to me and your heart, and what are we going to do with this? We go on. There's something beyond this, isn't there? And I'm not sure what it is, but I believe there is something. And before we came, I said, this next year, I would like for there to be maybe an emphasis on youth and children and a connection, and maybe we can have some sister schools. Wouldn't that be cool? To have a sister school here that would connect with a sister school in Florida. And we have one already, a little bit of one. It took blossom this year.
The tour is not difficult. You get a guide, you get on a bus, you can go, but without a place to stay, without people to relate to, it doesn't make it. And I'd like to thank the families, the host families in the North America. What did we do? What did we see? We went to Masada, went to the Dead Sea, we went to nursery schools, we went to Qumran, we saw the elderly center, you had musical evenings, Ben Hashmashot, Sundance, Ma'od Asinu, I can remember everything. We went to the old cities.
We went to the party at the hotel.
Yeah.
And we had
the party at the hotel?
And we danced in Moroccan dances.
doing your dancing? Were you doing dancing?
Oh, yeah.
When you're going to go back into Chosima Beit Shemesh, you're going back with a lot of memories, with a lot of good feelings. And we hope to see you in Coco. Coco, got it right? Yes. Coco. As we say, L'Shana Baba Coco, next year in Coco. Time to start planning, Ron.
To a land that I will show you. Lech lecha, to a place you do not know. Lech, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lehilach. Lehilach. And I shall make your name great. Lech lecha. And all shall praise your to the place that I will show you. Beit Shemesh. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat.
Say goodbye, everybody. Bon voyage.
Bye,
Beit Shemesh.
To a land that I will show you. Lech lecha, to a place you do not know. Lechilach, on your journey I will bless you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, lechilach. And you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechilach.
Oh, compelling.